It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
King Kunta.
King Kunta, indeed, as we get ready to drink beer and talk about movies. Today, as always...
I'm opening it now.
Okay,
sorry.
I'm not doing like the opening spiel or anything. That's fine.
Sorry,
Just
I couldn't wait.
Fucking rip it and pop. We'll be talking about what we've watched, basically, and then the small amount of movie news, as well as the new releases that are coming up, and then my big week of buying movies post-Oscars, because I'm just addicted to purchasing stuff. Now that I've finished my movie shelves and have found out that I have more space for more movies, I'm like, all right, I can fill these. Corey, what did you crack open? What are we drinking today? I'm more excited about this. Last week we had, what? Was it Outlaw?
Yeah, the Outlaw.
That was good.
I've been ripping through that all week. It's incredible. Yeah, this week, holy shit, this is really good. It's called Lagerer, which, not a fan of that name.
No, bad name.
It's obviously a lager from Elm Creek Brewing out of Champlin, Minnesota. Really fucking cool can. It's got some like Old English font on there.
Yeah, you were saying it looks like Nosferatu.
Looks like Robert Eggers wrote this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good shit. I don't know. I don't really have a quip for this week. So I don't.
You used the King Kunta one in the opening part.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Daylight savings time. We spring forward. We lost an hour. I don't know.
Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. That's just my joke. I just want to like do a topical thing.
I just want to do a topical thing. The worst day of the year.
Yeah, it sucks. I was up at like 2 a.m. Just like cleaning my apartment, and then it just turned to 3, and I was like, not a fan of this at all. I don't know. Can we just pick one of them and then maybe stick with that for the rest of the time?
I thought they were going to try and do that. I wish that they would, because it's not even like the fact that I'm going to lose or gain an hour. I just don't want to have to worry about going through and switching my fucking clocks to my oven and my microwave.
Sucks.
It's just the dumbest thing. And like, if you have a clock hanging on the wall, it's like my iPhone and my Fitbit, those are going to automatically just switch into the right time, which I love, but also I'm like, psychs me out a little bit. I'm like, are you the right time? What is time?
Yeah.
So...
And my alarm clock next to my bed, I can't adjust the hours on there. I can only do the minutes. So every time that this happens, I have to unplug it.
To get a new clock.
I have to. No, it's the Taka clock, from a project in middle school.
Project, yeah.
So every time that daylight savings happens, I have to wait until it's either noon or midnight, and then unplug it and plug it in so that I can be on 12.
The right time.
Yeah, because even if I do the minutes, it won't move to the next hour. It'll just start over on that same hour.
Yeah, they're 12.
This is a long ramble about daylight savings.
Daylight savings, it's ass.
It sucks.
It doesn't even apply anymore.
Keep it at this one. I want an extra hour of light in the day, or like at night. I think I prefer that one. Yeah. I think
it's fine if it's dark out in the morning. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's whatever. It's like
as long as when I'm leaving work, I have a decent amount of evening.
Just a little bit of light.
Yeah,
that's always nice. But anyways, this week we worked through a lot of stuff actually. So the first big thing that we both saw in theaters was Mickey 17, the long-awaited follow-up to Bong Joon-ho's last movie, Parasite. Came in and surprised everybody at the Oscars, and we've been waiting since then for his next movie. And
it's like 6 years ago too. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. And this movie, we talked about it a little bit last week, but it's about Robert Pattinson, who plays a character named Mickey, who signs up to be an expendable, as they're known. And he's essentially the guy that's on this journey to colonize a planet. There's this whole group of people go there, and he's an expendable that they can send out there, and they can reprint his body and kill him however many times they want. And
he's just a lab rat.
Yeah, they just use him for their little tasks or whatever. So Robert Pattinson gets to play a lot of roles in this movie. Really a big year for like actors playing multiple roles. Theo James in The Monkey. This movie
yeah, already.
Michael B. Jordan in Sinners.
Yeah,
it's just the year of that, I guess. But yeah, this movie I was really looking forward to. It's got a great cast. Obviously, Bong Joon-ho, very good director, and I was a little bit disappointed with this one. Unfortunately, I think that just to get my positives out of the way, I think that visually the movie looks great.
Stunning.
The visual effects look incredible. Cinematography looks good. Bong Joon-ho is obviously a very good director.
God, you live next to a racetrack.
Yeah,
right now.
That's insane.
Daytona
happening. Just Casey Kane. Anybody big Casey Kane fans out there? That was my favorite NASCAR driver back in the day.
I never watched NASCAR.
He was number 9
in my life.
and he was Oh, no, he wasn't Coles. He didn't have the Coles car. It was like a red and white car he had sometimes.
Is there a Coles NASCAR car?
I hope so. Or like Coles Cash. That'd be great.
Just like Coles Cash car.
Fuck, I don't remember what he was.
Mom, I need to go clothes shopping. Good, I have $40 in Coles Cash.
If you spend full price at Kohl's, you're doing something wrong.
Yes, you fucked up.
Have coupons up the ass.
Anyway,
how did we get there?
Yeah.
Oh, the car. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, God, we're just rambling today. Okay. So, anyways, what I was saying, the visuals look great. Bong Joon-ho directed it great, and Robert Pattinson is. I love his choices that he's made post Twilight, and anybody that says he's still Twilight guy, that bothers me.
Did it take you a while to get into with his voice? Or
yes.
It took me a minute to adjust to him.
I still don't think I fully like it, but I got more used to it over the course of the movie. But he's doing great, and he's obviously having fun playing these multiple versions of himself. So it's just seeing his range from like this movie and then like Batman and Good Time. It's incredible. Where this movie didn't work for me is it feels like it's throwing a lot of ideas and a lot of themes at you, and it doesn't really fully commit to exploring any one of them deeply. The main issue that I have is that the middle act of this movie has so many subplots that just don't lead to anything. There is a subplot with like Robert Pattinson as soon as we get Mickey 17 and 18. And then Naomi Aki is kind of his girlfriend that's on this ship with him. And then another girl comes into the picture, and she kind of wants to be a part of this as she finds out there's 2 clones. And then she doesn't come back for the last, 45 minutes of the movie. They just abandon her.
Away with her, yeah.
And then we have another subplot about Steven Yeun, who came from Earth with Mickey. And their past follows them onto this ship somehow. And it's this whole, 20-minute sequence of Steven Yeun trying to do this thing for one of their past clients or something, and it was just that didn't lead anywhere, and it had no impact on the movie at all. So it's just wasting time, and you can feel that time because this movie's 2 hours and 17 minutes, and I was feeling the length in that middle act. So those 2 subplots kind of bothered me. Also, Toni Collette and Mark Ruffalo in the movie, they're over the top. They're hammy. They're doing their thing, which I appreciated some aspects of it.
Toni Collette's obsession with sauces.
Sauces. She keeps bringing up sauces.
She just likes sauces.
And I was like,
she's like, that's what means a civilization, a people has made it. They're established is when they have sauces for things.
I didn't know if I should laugh at it because
I kind of liked it.
I was like, I don't know. And then Mark Ruffalo, I wasn't a big fan of his performance. It just felt very, I don't know, a little bit too over the top for me.
Too on the nose.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think that some of the messaging in the movie is very on the nose as well. There's a scene where Naomi Aki's kind of giving this whole speech about colonization and coming in and taking over other people's land and doing this, and she's telling you what you should think, essentially. Yeah. And I think that, overall, I know this movie's based on a book, but, this idea is really interesting of, cloning people and using them to go do these different things, and then having 2 people that are the same person. That's a sweet idea. And I never felt like there was a scene of great conversation between Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 about how are we the same person and why are we different? Mm-hmm. Why are our personalities different if we come from the same, core memories and this cloning process? And that's what I wanted more of this movie to be, but it's more so just them, talking with creatures with this voice modulator and, doing this language thing, and then it just is, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it lived up to the promise of the premise. So yeah, this one was, it was enjoyable, even though I did have a lot of issues with it. It's a cool sci-fi movie, and it's, more original. Like I said, obviously it's based on a book, but it feels like an original type story. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed aspects of it, but it was just a little bit too long. Subplots that I didn't really care about. Some of the messaging was a little too on the nose. And then my last note that I just wanted to point out was, why was there a guy in a pigeon outfit?
Yeah, they don't really touch too much on that. It just felt like weird Bong Joon-ho energy, just randomly in there with no explanation. And I thought that was funny, but I'm also is there reasoning to this, or is this is just the way that this guy is? But I also saw this week. I saw Mickey 17. I was really excited for this. I believe that this was both on yours and my top 10 anticipated for 2025. Love Parasite. I'm a big fan of Snowpiercer. I think that movie is very underrated and very underappreciated. Even though I feel like I've heard more people come out and say that they actually really love that movie, I think that movie is amazing. Memories of Murder. I can't wait for you to watch that film. That movie is one of the best detective stories. I went into Mickey 17 just kind of post Oscars, just wanting to. It was the first time I was going to see a movie that didn't feel like I was trying to catch up on something. It was just like I had to go see this new movie. So I kind of went in with rose-colored glasses a little bit, and I did really enjoy the movie. I posted a review to our Instagram. I think I gave it an A-. It does kind of teeter on that B+ to A-, and some of my issues with it are similar to what you were saying, as to there is a lot of messaging. There's a lot of things and points and themes that they're trying to get across to you, and they don't. For me, it just felt, a lot of them felt undercooked. Some of the blatancy of them, somehow over the head they kind of beat you with some of them, didn't really bother me. It just felt like I left with no impact to carry with me. It was a lot of themes that they brought up, and I was like, yeah, I agree with that. Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Movie's over. All right, now I'm leaving. And it just, it felt a little empty in that realm. But I did overall really enjoy this film. I thought the performances across the board were great. There are maybe one too many subplots, maybe two too many subplots. The Stephen Yeun and Robert Pattinson, like their relationship, their friendship, if you want to call it a friendship, before getting onto this mission to a new ice planet, I feel like you could probably scrap that, and if they just met on this voyage and just, hey, what are you here for? Hey, what are you doing? And they have this kind of on again, off again, like, fuck you, like, oh, I'm gonna help you out, you're my buddy, but also, like, you're doing me dirty here. Like, I feel like you could, there's ways to streamline this story.
Like, if you took Stephen Yeun out of this movie,
you could also just axe that character.
There's nothing that impacts the third act at all.
No, 100%. And, which I like Stephen Yeun in this movie. I like him being like, everyone's main question to Robert Pattinson's like, oh, you're like the only expendable on this ship. What's it like to die? And he's just like, but they do a lot of setting up that idea, that premise of like, what does it mean to die? But they never also deliver on that. So I'm like, it felt like I was getting shortchanged in a way. Although, like, you mentioned something about the pacing, the middle act. I was in this movie to have a good time, and I had a good time the entire time. I was never really bored. I thought I was enjoying everything. I think Naomi Ackie is great in this film. I love her. Mark Ruffalo's performance, I heard people coming out of the theaters of like, oh, that's too on the nose. He's too much of a Trump-esque character. And I didn't see it as that. I just thought Mark Ruffalo from Poor Things, just now he's a politician, and it worked for me. There's one like actual chilling scene in this film with Toni Collette towards the end, but then it just turns out to be a hallucination or like an imagined dream that Robert Pattinson's having, which felt wasted because I was like, oh wow, this is like fucking making me like on the edge of my seat, like damn, this is intense, and then it just boils down to nothing. Overall, I like this movie. I think that there are ways that you could streamline this story. I just was really missing some of the punch of this movie. The performances were great. Robert Pattinson has this, especially in this movie, it might be the voice. It's just his like kind of not wormy, just like he doesn't have like big aspirations. He's on this mission to get away from his past life. He's trying to set out to do things, and like he gets put in these horrible, questionable scenarios where he's testing out things, and then like, oh, his hand's cut off and floating through space, which is a great moment in the trailer and in the movie. But it's just, there's aspects to him that remind me of one of my brothers that I really like, and I'm like, I kind of fuck with this. Like I always do that with movies where I insert people I know into some of the characters' roles, and like I'm watching my brother in this movie as opposed to I'm watching Robert Pattinson in this movie. So it's ways for me to emotionally connect with a film. It's not Bong Joon-ho's best film, and I think that there's some loose ends. There's subplots that kind of lead nowhere. There's themes that don't hit as hard as I think that they should, or as hard as I think that they intended to. I still don't think Bong Joon-ho has made a bad movie. I don't love The Host as much as most people do. I like it, but to me it just kind of boils down to a creature feature. Like, it's nothing like special to me. And I would put Mickey 17 kind of on that level with The Host. Like, I enjoyed watching it. I never was mad at the film. There was no decision that pissed me off, but there's just like, it had potential that was not delivered. That potential that could have made this, that could have escalated this to like a Parasite or a Snowpiercer tier, that where it's just like, you're kind of just meandering in the middle for me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, I think Parasite, especially, is such like a tight movie that balances tones incredibly well. And this movie is not as tight and has a lot of themes, like we said, it's trying to explore, and just doesn't really hone in on one thing. But again, like I like this movie more than Okja, which I know you haven't seen.
I haven't seen Okja yet.
And well, I'll talk about The Host in a second here because I watched that this week. But it's Mickey 17 and that are about on the same level, but below Snowpiercer and Parasite for me.
Yeah, I'm still like, whenever we get another Bong Joon-ho film, can't wait to see it. So like, this didn't do anything to discredit his directorial efforts. I think he's a great director. I think that, like I said, the performances are great. It's a cool enough sci-fi story, and I love the idea, that premise of like an expendable person and how like that kind of relates to like how people may feel in their own lives of like, I work for a place that doesn't value me as an employee or whatever. So I appreciate it on that front, but I just wish it had a little bit more punch to it. Aside from Mickey 17, a movie that I kind of wrote off from earlier this year that I was like, you know what, I don't want to watch it. I don't really care to see it. If anything, the trailers have turned me off from it because I saw the trailer for this film in the front. I feel like almost every movie I went to go see this year. The movie I'm talking about is One of Them Days, directed by Lawrence Lamont. This is his feature directorial debut. I believe he's worked a lot on like J. Cole music videos. He comes from like music video production background, so this is his directorial efforts. The film stars Keke Palmer, SZA, and Maude Apatow in a very small but very fun and funny role. I kind of wrote this off just because the trailers, it was just everything. Every time I went to the theater, I was seeing this trailer. I'm like, it's not funny. And I feel like trailers for comedies have a hard time of showing how funny a movie can actually be or how good a movie can actually be because they're like, we just need to pack it with jokes. But when you just get like a 2-second snippet of a joke, you lose the context, and therefore sometimes you lose the reasoning as to why a joke's funny. Anyway, the synopsis for this film, it's when best friends and roommates Drew and Alyssa discover Alyssa's boyfriend has blown their rent money, the duo finds themselves going to extremes in a race against the clock to avoid eviction and keep their friendship intact. This is a movie that you don't really see a whole lot of. Just kind of a fun situational comedy. Fun feels maybe like a mislabeling of it, but it's so engaging and energetic. There's such good energy to this movie. And it's just these characters racing against the clock, trying to make their rent money by the end of the day before they get evicted. And them just getting put into horrible situations of like something going wrong at a plasma donation site, or them getting beat up by Alyssa's somewhat boyfriend's hookup that is just kicking their ass. Like, it's a bunch of wild scenarios and situations that these two characters, Alyssa and Drew, played by Keke Palmer and SZA, find themselves in, that made it just really fun to watch and really energetic. Like I said, I wasn't like super excited, or I wasn't like highly anticipating this film for me. I heard great things about it post like its initial release in theaters. And my wife actually really wanted to see it, as well as some of her classmates at her schooling really wanted to see it. So we had them over last night. We watched One of Them Days, and it was a great time. We had a bottle of wine. We watched Keke Palmer be super charismatic and SZA be super funny in a film that I was not anticipating. There's my one critique of this film is that they try to make Keke Palmer's character more of like a nervous bumbling type, or like they try to make you question the charisma of Keke Palmer, which I was born in 2000. I grew up with Keke Palmer. Keke Palmer oozes charisma. Like the most charismatic human being, most like sly and just cool person. Like especially her in Nope. I love Keke Palmer. And so parts where they're like, nah, she's kind of bumbling, she's kind of awkward. I'm like, I don't buy that. It's Keke Palmer. Like she's on top of her shit right now. Regardless, movie was fun. It was a good light watch. And I'm excited to kind of see what Lawrence Lamont makes next. This was a very energetic film, and it was kind of just a good like boost for me. So I was really excited to actually catch up on this movie. Yeah. Corey, I don't know if you're ever going to watch One of Them Days, but I would recommend it to you.
Yeah, I heard decent things about it. It sounds kind of like an old school comedy of just a simple premise and kind of in a short amount of time, just people trying to do shit and funny things happen.
A genre that we don't really get. We don't get like straight up comedies, which this is the closest to a straight up comedy that I've seen from this year, at least in recent months. End of 2024 into 2025. So I'd recommend it. It's a good time.
Yeah, I love Keke Palmer's energy. Obviously, you said we've grown up with her, so I always enjoy seeing her and stuff. But speaking about, we talked about Bong Joon-ho earlier. I did watch The Host this week, which also kind of worked out for my alphabet rewatch thing that I'm doing for
Oh, were you on H?
Yeah, so that was cool. But yeah, so The Host came out in 2006. Obviously, Bong Joon-ho directed it. And this is a monster movie. It takes place in Seoul, in the Han River, and essentially it's just this monster that comes out of the river and starts attacking people, and a little girl gets captured by the monster, and her family is trying to rescue her, and that's the movie. Pretty simple premise, and I dug it. It's a solid little monster flick. There's nothing, we talked about some of the deeper themes and stuff. This movie isn't quite as much about that. It's just, here's a fun, creature feature. Mm-hmm. The visual effects do not look good.
No.
Which, I get it, it's 2006, but also we had, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest in 2006, which obviously very different, different countries made the movies and different levels of budget and all that stuff. But I know Bong Joon-ho said, I was reading an interview about this movie, and he said that he didn't want to go with the Jaws method of the monster movie for this one, where they kind of don't show the creature a lot. They give hints at it throughout the movie and then show it at the end. He just wanted to show it straight up right away. Mm. And when it comes out of the river, you're like, whoa, this is like a PS2 cutscene. Yeah. This is just a big, squirrely looking thing. So it takes you out of it for a second. I mean, you kind of get used to it. And there is a sort of charm to 2000s visual effects for some reason, even though they don't look that good. But I enjoyed this movie for the most part. I think it really shines when it is about this family that's together trying to rescue the little girl that is captured. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of in this, it's in a sewer, and she's in this pit, and there's bodies coming down, there's bones coming down, and she's trying to figure out a way to get out. So I like seeing that. There is a section of this movie, maybe 30 to 35 minutes, where the family is all split up. It's three different people, three siblings, and they're all kind of doing their own thing. And that's when the movie drags a little bit, because I just wasn't as interested, and the monster wasn't involved in those sequences as much. It's just one guy in an office trying to get a location, and then another girl that is knocked out with her bow and arrow for a bit, and then just another guy's just passed out underneath a bridge. And I'm like, all right, let's get the crew back together. Let's focus in on what this movie should be about. But then the finale of the movie is pretty fun. There's some pretty fun action and how they take out the monster, and just how, I mean, there's some parallels to COVID-esque stuff, where it's because this monster has a virus that's infecting people as well, and so people are wearing masks, and they're trying to find this, a cure for it, and all that stuff. So I guess there is some kind of themes in there as far as that goes, but it wraps up in a pretty fun way, and I enjoyed it. But it's nothing that rises to the top of the Bong Joon-ho, my ranking for his personal movies. I think it's just a fun little creature feature. Could have been tightened up a little bit, maybe been 10 to 15 minutes shorter, and I think it would have been really, really solid if it had been just a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I tend to agree. This, like I talked about earlier, it's not my favorite of his films. It does, unlike, honestly, all of his other films, I feel like this one suffers from some pacing issues. Kind of that middle half, third act. Before the big showdown, and I really like the design of the monster in this. It's very aquatic. It looks very fish-esque, and I enjoyed this movie, but it does feel kind of surface level at times. And I feel like when I go to see, at least post Parasite, and then once I saw Parasite, I feel like for a lot of people, at least in the United States, it was, all right, well, I need to go back and watch some of this guy's other films, and then I see Memories of Murder, and you kind of learn more of this style and his filmmaking. And going back and seeing The Host, it felt like, yeah, this is your early stages. Still good, still an enjoyable film. Good creature effects, even though it is a little dated at times. And once you buy into it, once you accept the overall look of this monster, and you're able to just roll with the movie, then it picks up steam, and there are some good effects and good fun to be had. But yeah, not one of my favorites of his, but it's still, like I said, Bong Joon-ho hasn't made a bad film, and this certainly isn't a bad movie. This is a really good, enjoyable time. And yeah, there are some deeper meaning, some deeper subject matter that they do try and delve into, especially kind of like what you were saying, that kind of relates weirdly enough to some aspects of COVID.
Between like this movie and Contagion,
Yeah,
just like watching them now, you're like,
Contagion?
Scary.
I didn't see it when it came out. That was like 2011, I think, when it came out, which is a phenomenal film. And that movie, I'm sure back then, was a scary movie of like this hypothetical. I remember watching Contagion for the first time in like 2021 and being like, it's horrifying how accurate this movie is. Like how much they nailed the representation of people just handling an outbreak like that. Oh my god.
And there's like stuff set in Minnesota. I think Matt Damon is like lives in Minnesota in that movie. So it's just it's very weird. Weird how real that was.
Well, I'm happy that you watched The Host. I'm not doing an alphabet rewatch, but my H movie, I guess, for this from this past week, which honestly, if I had to sit all the movies down that I watched this past week, this was by far and away my favorite, the best, the one that shocked me and surprised me the most. But I went back and watched the 2012 film The Hunt, which I believe was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film Oscar of that year. It's directed by Thomas Vinterberg. He is the director of Another Round, which was another big Mads Mikkelsen film from early 2020, 2021, I believe. The film stars Mads Mikkelsen, Thomas Bolarsen, and Annika Vetterkop. The synopsis is: a teacher lives a lonely life, all the while struggling over his son's custody. His life slowly gets better as he finds love and receives good news from his son, but his new luck is about to brutally be shattered by an innocent little lie. And I'm going to kind of go into a little bit more depth in terms as to what that lie is. Mads Mikkelsen, he plays a teacher in a kindergarten. And he plays this role in a very small community where everyone knows each other. Every man in this community is a part of the same like hunting club, and they initiate new members into this club once they reach a specific age. So everyone knows each other. And Mads Mikkelsen is a trusted member of this community. He works in the kindergarten, and there is a lie or a piece of information that is spread from a kindergarten student, a girl played by Annika Vetterkop, which is one of the best performances I've ever seen a child actor give, which is crazy because of the subject material of what this movie's about, and to see a little kid actually being able to give a good performance in a movie like this is shaking and startling. But this lie of this trusted individual sexually assaulted or abused and manipulated a child in this kindergarten class, and this lie spreads really quickly. And I really appreciated this film. It doesn't try to make you question whether this man actually did it or not. It very clearly shows you this man had never done this. This is not something that has any basis in truth or reality. He did not do this to this child. But the child said something. And you're not going to believe a kid when they say something horrible or have like weird specifics of something that they shouldn't know about. And then the entire community that once loved this man, that once accepted this man and saw him as basically a beacon of hope and trust within this small community, they immediately turn on him. This is one of the best directed films I've seen lately. It is so well done. It's so intense and thrilling for a movie that doesn't have like action to it. It's just a movie about people and character dilemmas and dynamics of like, no, Mads Mikkelsen saying like, no, I didn't do this to this girl. This girl is my best friend's daughter. It's like, well, yeah, so you had access to her. He's like, no, I babysit her. Yeah, so you have access to her. No, I didn't do that. Anything he says makes him further seem guilty. And he's just like, no, I didn't do that. Like, I love kids. And they're like, you love kids? And it's like, no, I don't love kids. Like, I love kids. So it's like, it's a very interesting movie. And there's this thing when like, I'm married. I can't wait to have children eventually. Whenever I'm like, oh, that's a really cute baby, it's like I need to make sure I'm saying that out loud when my wife is near, not me alone with a jacket on looking creepy. Like, that's a cute baby. Like, it plays into that, but regardless of my interactions with what this dilemma may or may not feel like, this movie is so well done. Mads Mikkelsen is phenomenal in this movie, and it was a movie that I've always heard so many great things about. And as I'm still kind of riding that high of Oscars and post-Oscars and me catching up on movies that I might have missed from previous award ceremonies, I went back and watched this, and I am so fucking happy I did, because it's so well told, it's so well done. It has some truly gut-wrenching moments and disgusting moments, and it's also just a movie about a community trying to damage control, figure out what the hell's going on, and how do they grow past that, and how quickly a rumor can spread, and how much a rumor could take over someone's life. Just the whole like mob mentality and mass hysteria of it. I really enjoyed this film. Corey, I hope eventually you'll watch this movie. It's a movie that I've had sitting on my shelf for a long time, so I'm just going to kind of force it on you until you watch it, because I think this is one of the better.
Force it on me? What the hell,
well,
bro?
let's not bring that up when I just talked about what this movie's about. Settle down. God. I'm going to put a Blu-ray in your fucking PS3, and you're going to watch this movie.
Okay, all right. No, I have not seen this movie yet, but it has been on my radar for a long time. I did see Another Round, however, Thomas Vinterberg's other movie. That won Best International Features a couple years back. And it's a pretty enjoyable movie. It's just for like teachers that want to drink, and so they do that. It's pretty fun.
So good. Sold.
Pretty great premise. Pretty cool. But yeah, I know you were talking before we started recording that you kind of felt that like Harvey Weinstein was like wrongly accused, like the same.
This is a weird joke you that you
felt,
could bring up.
You felt like you were like, this reminded me of Harvey, like he should not be in jail, like he should be pardoned. You were like, no, you were really like on this.
Everything Corey's saying right now is just horribly. It's just a joke that he made about himself earlier. That he was like, I'm going to say this when we.
You guys hear him say he wanted to force it on me? Okay, flashback, couple seconds in this. All right,
I'm actually kind of sweating right now. I do not agree with Harvey Weinstein at all. I didn't think I'd have to defend me not wanting to be on Harvey Weinstein's side.
That's crazy.
This is crazy. Yeah, look at what you did. Look at,
whoa, me?
Yeah.
Gaslighting
I can't point your fingers now?
This is a wild turn of...
No, Harvey Weinstein is an atrocious human being that should die. Mic drop.
Yeah, anyways, all right, I just thought I should let the people know. All right, what else did you watch this week?
Oh yeah, I did have another movie lined up. Fuck, I'm trying to grab a second beer.
Yeah.
So another movie that I had sitting on my... Oh god, that's crisp. That I had sitting on my shelf for a bit of time, only because this was a movie that was brought up to me in like film classes growing up. Was 8.5, directed by Federico Fellini. He is the director of La Strada, which I'm sure you haven't heard of, and La Dolce Vita, which I'm sure you haven't heard of, which, don't worry, I'm not trying to be pandering or an asshole to you. I also haven't heard of these films. It's just 8.5 is looked at as being such a high regard in terms of Italian filmmaking or French filmmaking. This cast, I can't pronounce any of their names. They're also all from the 60s, so I'm just going to have you look up 8.5 and then look at the cast list, and then you'll get the picture there. The synopsis of this film is a harried movie director, which I've never heard the term harried before, but I do enjoy that. A harried movie director retreats into his memories and fantasies. Wow, that's fucking vague for a 2-hour, 17-minute movie. It is a black and white film from 1960s. I remember seeing the opening of this film. It has the cinematography in this film is sensational.
Nice.
I was just say substantial, which true, but sensational. It is one of the most like beautiful black and white films I've ever seen in my life. Watching it though, when I sat down to you know what, I'm watching 8.5, and Allie was sitting next to me, and I'm like, I'm gonna put this movie on so you don't watch it with me because it's in a different language and it's an old movie, so maybe you'll study or work on whatever paper you need to be working on. But then she sat there and watched it with me, and she was like, I don't think I like that. And then watching the movie, it's about a lot of things. It's about this director that's like coming to terms with where he's at in his career, and he's trying to basically, he's looking back at his life, he's trying to reflect on things, and he's also looking forward or looking toward the new movie that he's being tasked with making, which is going to be this big budget potential sci-fi picture. And every question he's asked is, what about this in the movie? What are you doing with this? Or I heard you doing this. And it's just this man being bombarded nonstop as he's like recounting like his sexual awakening or his guilt in life and shit like that from his past. And watching this movie, while it's visually appealing, I didn't like love it, and it didn't come together for me. And this is a movie that I thought was going to fall into that category that I believe Corey and I have talked about, where it's, I appreciate this film for what it's doing and the technical aspects that are really well done, but I don't like this movie. And when it ended, I was like, finally, it's done. But now I'm like, this I think was Tuesday earlier this week, and now I'm like, I want to rewatch it. Like, it's a movie that's kind of dug into me, and I as I've sat with it, there are aspects of it that have really stuck out to me, of this man kind of not hallucinating, but just remembering and trying to make create an understanding of his life and what he's going to do next, and everyone's coming to him looking for answers because he's this director and he's famous, and he's like, I don't fucking have answers. And it's a movie I'm eager to rewatch. Corey, I don't know if you've seen 8.5. I don't know if I can recommend it to you, because right now I'm still trying to figure out if I like this or not. I'm eager to rewatch it, but I don't know if I liked it.
I think I'm probably the only person you could recommend it to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we just, as like movie lovers, you hear about this as a very classic movie. It's like in the top 250 or whatever. You just always see it pop up in there. So definitely one that I want to check out soon. One that I caught up on this week from last year was the animated movie, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Long title. Lots of thes, lots of ofs in there. But, I almost saw this in theaters last year and then just did not get around to it, just kind of that busy fall season. This one takes place about 200 years before the Lord of the Rings movies, and it's essentially about the village of Rohan and kind of conflicts within that city, within that village, and then the plot plays out pretty much like the Battle of Helm's Deep at the Two Towers, or in the Two Towers. And if you ever wondered how Helm's Deep got its name, you can watch this movie and you can find out, because King of Rohan is played by Helm Hammerhand, voiced by Brian Cox, who's great as this, just Brian Cox voicing like a medieval type guy. That's a match made in heaven there.
What was the Succession line you were telling me about earlier? The best delivery?
Yeah, they're...
From Brian Cox?
From Brian Cox. Actually, you know what? I'll just mention it now. I finished Succession Season 3, and I'm like halfway through Season 4. And yeah, Brian Cox obviously plays Logan Roy, the dad of this family. The patriarch of this media conglomerate. And there's a line in this movie, he's talking to Nicholas Braun about his dad, who is Brian Cox's brother in the show, and he's like, "Your dad still sucking cock at the county fair?"
I can picture Brian Cox saying that.
It's incredible. It's either in season 3 or 4, but it's so good. He doesn't say anything like that in Lord of the Rings, because that'd be crazy.
Well, imagine. Helm Hammerhand?
Saying that to Gandalf or something.
Hammerhand? Is that
Hammerhand. Yeah, dude fucks up some people in this movie. Like, Hammerhand, an earned name, I'll tell you that, because he knocks some bitches out in this movie. But you do have Miranda Otto coming back as Éowyn from the Lord of the Rings movies. She's narrating this animated movie. And, like I said, it essentially plays out like the Two Towers. It's at Helm's Deep. It's people trapped in the kind of the stronghold there, and then people trying to get in, and they're big battles and a lot of stuff there. So it's very Lord of the Rings. It's very fun. Getting some more of this history. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. That's my favorite trilogy of all time. I like the Hobbit trilogy more than most people, I think. And then I've been sitting through the Rings of Power show, which has some good moments, but it's a little tough at times. But this one, I liked seeing the history of Middle-earth, because I'm very interested in that. And I liked a lot of the action. It was really fun. But I'm not a huge fan of anime. It's just something that I've never really connected with. And I think that's why I didn't see it in theaters. And I know that there are so many... People tell me there are so many great anime stories and things that I would love. And I'm sure that they're right. But I just never connect to the animation style itself. And with this movie in particular, the characters are obviously very, like, bright and look like anime characters. But then the backgrounds, like the settings and locations, look like they're very real. It sort of reminded me of The Good Dinosaur, the Pixar movie, where you have these two main characters that are very, like, animated, clearly animated.
And very cartoony in the way that they look.
Right, with, like, this dinosaur and this kid, and then you have the backgrounds that look stunning, like, absolutely amazing, but it looks like a real location, so it kind of throws you off a bit. And that's how I felt a little bit with this movie. I just don't think the animation was quite up to par. And this movie was reportedly made to keep the rights for Warner Brothers, to keep the Lord of the Rings rights. So you can kind of feel that this may have been a little bit rushed just to get it out there. But overall, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I think this is worth a watch. I mean, there are some lead-ins to, like, the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies that they kind of throw in at the end that I don't think are really necessary. But it's a decent enough little movie, and it's a pretty quick watch too. So I would recommend it if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. If you're not, I don't know how much you would get out of it, really. It's not, like, really deep. It doesn't have a lot of, like, super strong character arcs. But for this world, I thought it was a pretty interesting and fun watch.
Being an animated movie from 2024, is it better or is it worse than Flow?
Oh, I mean, I hate Flow, so I like this movie more.
I just like pressing you on that.
Yeah, also, I apologize to anybody that listened to the Oscar reactions and heard my screaming last week. I kind of feel bad about that, just like assaulting people's ears that didn't really plan on that. I feel like I was really down about the Oscars last week and very just like Debbie Downer, so yeah, I apologize for that. But
I mean,
I'll stand by my viewpoints of Nora, Flo, and Amelia Perez. I'm not going to back down from that and how sad I was at the Oscars. But I feel bad about screaming, so
being on the other end of the desk, it was something to behold. I kind of enjoyed it, so I don't know if you got to apologize. It's fine.
Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim, I completely missed out on it. I heard it was like reviews wise, it was somewhat middling. I heard the animation wasn't great. I also am not the biggest anime fan. I have films that are in my top 100 that are in that style of like Akira, I love, and Ghost in the Shell, I love. But I'm gonna burp real quick.
Nice.
Fuck, I was dealing with that for so long.
Attaboy.
I earned that one. Anyway, I like some anime films, but it's not my, like, proposed or, like, it's not the style that really gets me in theaters. Honestly, stop motion may be my favorite animation style. I'm a big, like, Two Towers is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. Not only that, I think it's the best Lord of the Rings film. And I know a lot of people like Return of the King. I don't love Return of the King, which kind of keeps it out of being one of my favorite trilogies. I actually like Desolation of Smaug, Hobbit Desolation of Smaug, better than Return of the King.
Whoa.
I think it's a better movie.
That's a
That's
hot take.
Wow, that is a hot take.
I don't think I knew
Steaming
that.
hot,
Wow.
fresh out of the oven. And I get that. Like, I'd rather rewatch Unexpected Journey than rewatch Return of the King. Battle of the Five Armies is dog shit.
Yeah.
You can't get past that.
Not very
but
good.
Return of the King, it's just I don't love that movie, and especially in the way that I love the first two of the original trilogy. You got Fellowship and Two Towers, but War of the Rohirrim. It's a movie I heard decent-ish things, like, and kind of a lot of the same sentiment that you're saying. Like, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, like, there is stuff here that you could probably get out of it, but I'm not rushing out to see it. I might catch it probably on streaming. Where did you watch it?
It's on HBO.
HBO?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'd watch
So I
it.
saw it pop up, and I'm like, you know what? I need to catch up
Yeah,
on that.
fuck it. So, honestly, that's probably going to be the way I view this film. Last night, it was late at night. We just finished watching One of Them Days, and I was like, I want to go watch a movie. And I laid in bed after taking cough medicine, melatonin, and then finishing half a bottle of wine. So I'm like almost to sleep. I'm like, I want to put on a movie. So I put on Netflix a Plankton movie, which finished half of it. Fucking banger of a movie. You need to check it out. Especially, like, we grew up with, like, the SpongeBob era. Also, like, specifically the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is a masterclass in filmmaking. That movie's amazing. So I was like, fuck it, I'll put on a Plankton movie. Shell City. I put on a Plankton movie, and I had too much fun while I was trying to fall asleep. So, anyways, maybe I'll check out War of the Rohirrim in that respect of, like, I'm almost to bed, but I need to put on something. So I'm somewhat excited to visit this movie whenever I do get around to it. Another couple of movies that I had kind of sitting on my shelf that I haven't watched, I've owned both in a Criterion of both David Cronenberg films, which David Cronenberg for me is kind of hit or miss in terms of films. I love The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. I don't love Videodrome, which a lot of people will say that that's Cronenberg's favorite or best film, and I'm like, I don't love Videodrome. So I had two films sitting on my shelf, which were Scanners from 1981 and Naked Lunch from 1991, almost 10 years apart there. Both directed by David Cronenberg. Scanners starring Michael Ironside, Jennifer O'Neill, Patrick McGoohan, and Stephen Lack. Whenever it's PH, I don't fucking know. Stephen Lack. Scanners is about a scientist that trains a man with this advanced telepathic ability called scanning, and he's setting out to stop a dangerous scanner with extraordinary psychic powers from waging war against all non-scanners or just humans. This was like the schlocky, wild 80s sci-fi I was wanting of just, and like this is like a very distinct memory of me watching like the Watch Mojo top 10 moments or top 10 movies of a director. And you see in Scanners, there's a scene where a scanner, he's like, hey, I'm taking any sort of volunteers to come sit down, sit next to me, think about a thought, and I'm going to scan you. I'm gonna be able to picture and speak to what you're thinking about and tell the rest of the auditorium. And the scanner calls on Michael Ironside, who is a scanner. I think it's Daryl Revick is the name of Michael Ironside's character, and Daryl Revick goes down and sits by him. And this guy that's putting on this presentation starts scanning, but then he's realizing like, oh, I'm fucked. I'm going up against like the scanner, like the bad scanner. Like I'm going up against this big bad bitch. And his head pops, like blows up in the most grotesque practical effects I've seen, and it's so awesome. This is the most like have a couple of beers, watch a good sci-fi movie from the 80s. It's such a good throwback film. This is a Cronenberg movie that worked for me, and it's a film that has like decently high regards in terms of like the Cronenberg filmography. A lot of people do like this film. They're fans of this film. I overall really enjoyed this film. Michael Ironside is such an underutilized actor. He has such a distinct, iconic voice. But you don't see him, I feel like, in a whole lot. I love him in Starship Troopers. I love him in Scanners. And I also really love him as Sam Fisher in the few Splinter Cell video games that he voices Sam Fisher in. Scanners, big recommendation. Like I said, I watched Scanners, and I watched another Cronenberg film, Naked Lunch. Naked Lunch, I didn't finish. I don't love everything I see from Cronenberg. And I know that Naked Lunch is based on source material that's pretty dense and pretty psychedelic of just fucking wild shit happening. And the film stars Peter Weller, Judy Davis, and Ian Holm. Happy to see Ian Holm in anything.
Alien Romulus. He was in that.
Okay, actually, immediately redact what I said. I love seeing Ian Holm when he's alive in things, you know? Not in Romulus when they're like, we're gonna Grand Moff Tarkin this guy's ass. Like, let's put him on a fucking bot. But let's not make him the same one. Okay, whatever. Sorry, that's a little mini rant for you. But Naked Lunch, starring Peter Weller, Judy Davis, and Ian Holm. After developing an addiction to the substance he uses to kill bugs, an exterminator accidentally kills his wife and becomes involved in a secret government plot against being orchestrated by giant bugs in a port town in North Africa.
I didn't know what this movie was about.
This movie hurt me to watch. Like, it's so fucking wild that I didn't enjoy it, but also, like, the premise of it makes it sound like just crazy, batshit insane. It's very serious, but also the things that are happening can't be taken seriously. And it's a movie that where one scene will happen, and the next scene that will come up will completely dismantle and disregard the scene that came forward. I don't understand what the fuck I was watching. I don't know if I was engaged or kind of excited by what I was watching enough to sit down and actually try and follow the story of this movie. It was so much just like up in the air bullshit, and then you see these random big bugs talking to Peter Weller like, you need to help us. You need to stop fucking doping on your substance that you use to exterminate us and help us. And I'm like, what is this? What is happening? So I didn't finish this movie. I don't know if/when I'm ever going to finish this movie. Corey, based on your reaction to the synopsis of this movie, I kind of want you to see it.
That's hilarious.
It's a crazy setup to the story, but that is like the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then it just goes off the wall. I'm like, and like in very Cronenberg fashion, there are some really cool practical effects. Like everything that you go to a Cronenberg film for, you'll see in Naked Lunch. Like there's great practical effects. There's some wild character development and just weird decisions being made, and it's a very interesting tone. But it didn't work for me. But I wouldn't mind if you watched it, and if you ended up loving it, I'd be like, fuck, all right, I'll finish this movie out.
You know what? If you sell this movie, get rid of it, I would take it and I'd give it a watch.
Because I have the Criterion, and I feel like to just sell that to like half-price books or like a second-hand place near us, it'd be kind of like a
I'll buy it off you.
I'll give it to you.
I've never quite been on the same wavelength as David Cronenberg's movies, sort of in the same way as David Lynch. I sort of feel similar where like I respect a lot of what they do, but I don't.
Fucking David's in the sci-fi.
Yeah,
films.
I know. But yeah, I just don't always connect. I remember watching Crimes of the Future and I was like, I don't know if I'm really vibing with this one. But yeah, I would. You know what? If you were getting rid of it, I would watch it for sure. All right, moving into some TV stuff. We are going to talk about Daredevil Born Again. We're going to jump into some spoilers for these first 2 episodes, and I guess for the Daredevil show on Netflix. So if you haven't seen that show, and you haven't seen these first 2 episodes, we're going to talk about spoilers, probably like next 10, 15 minutes just to be safe. Don't want anybody
Watch
to...
for like 2.
Yeah.
2 minutes and we move on. And they're like, I can't wait to like fucking actually listen to this.
Yeah. But don't want anybody to be spoiled if you haven't caught up on it yet. So... First 2 episodes came out, and overall, I liked the first 2 episodes. I thought they were good. I think that it is already better than some of the shows in the MCU, just based off these first 2.
Yeah.
The first episode opens, the first probably, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes, we spend as a reunion of Matt Murdock, Foggy Nelson, Karen Page. They go to a bar. We're getting the gang back together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this feels good.
It feels like home.
This feels great. I mean, when was the last season? Like 2018?
I think
something like that.
Roughly around there. I just remember watching the first season in high school, and that was freshman year of high school.
Yeah. So I think like the whole Netflix MCU stuff was like 2018, 2019. It kind of ended around that time. So we get the gang back together, and then the big spoiler, again, spoiler warning, is that Foggy dies within the first 10 minutes. He gets killed by Bullseye. He's back from the end of season 3. Matt has an action scene with him. And then we cut forward and it is 1 year later.
It's a 1 year time jump, yeah.
We do a 1 year time jump into the other stuff. So, kind of breaking down that first 10 to 15 minutes, I was really excited when I heard that they initially kind of started, I think we talked about it last week, but they started out as like not going to acknowledge the original show really and just do their own thing. And then they changed it, reworked it a bit to include some of those characters to make it feel like that show a bit more. And I love that they did that, but I don't love the decision to kill Foggy right away. I think later on in the season, I would have been okay with that, because I like what it does for the motivation of Matt, of Daredevil's character, but I don't like that it comes at the expense of Foggy dying in the first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's just very... You see him, it's like, oh, he's great. And he is such a great character on his own. Foggy Nelson is awesome. And Karen Page, again, is awesome, but then she goes off to San Francisco. And so it's like, is she going to come back? I mean, she may come back like at some point in this season. We don't know in what capacity. But it just feels like they did that to kind of be like, all right, well, you guys wanted it to be like the old show, so here you go for the first part. We'll have like a quote-unquote one-er action sequence that's really not as good, and the CGI is not great, and the choreography is not as great.
Everything about that but that first action scene we get with Daredevil, I was like, no, stop. This feels like Disney trying hard to recapture something that they can't. And it was like, I'll let you keep going, because you're getting ahead of steam, and then I'll kind of come in and rein on it a little bit.
So we have that first 10 to 15 minutes, which there are strong moments. One thing that we both really loved is the aspect ratio change of when Daredevil is listening to somebody talking on the phone, and he just like, he's sitting there talking with somebody, then he hears that phone conversation, the aspect ratio changes, and it just zooms in like on his ear essentially. Mm-hmm. And that's such a great idea of how to show.
Then it moves over to Foggy, and then the aspect ratio changes again, and it zooms in on who he's focusing on. I'm like, that's such a perfect way to represent where he is, what he can sense around him.
That's an incredible just technical thing. And there are good elements in that first 10 to 15 minutes, and I don't hate all of it, but it is a very like shocking thing, and again, just I don't like that Foggy dies so early. I think if it would have been like middle of this season, I would have been a little bit more okay with it, but just give me some time of them doing some lawyer stuff. And then kind of the last part of that first episode and into the second episode, we get more of the kind of main parts of this show, of what it seems like where we're going is Matt Murdock being a lawyer, defending people, which is honestly the most interesting thing, like from the first 3 seasons of Daredevil, or one of the most interesting
when he's
things.
taking on unwinnable cases.
Yeah, it's like I love lawyer stuff, and seeing it be Matt Murdock is great. And then the relationship between Matt Murdock and Kingpin is great. They have a great diner scene, which was in the trailers in the first episode, and then we get more of Wilson Fisk as the mayor in the second episode, and Matt defending somebody. So the second episode felt a little bit more like one of the old school Netflix shows. Not entirely, but I think the end of episode 2 has a better action sequence than the action sequence in the first episode. So, I mean, I enjoyed these first 2 episodes. It was great to be back in this world. I think just the couple flaws that I had, aside from the ones I already mentioned, I think the first episode is very rushed in terms of Wilson Fisk becoming mayor. That is introduced very early on as an idea, which I like the idea. I actually really do like him trying to become mayor. That seems like a logical thing that he would want to do. And I don't mind him like becoming mayor and winning, but all of that happens. Like, he's the mayor at the end of the first episode. I think we needed to stretch that out a bit more. And then the other little thing is the title sequence, which a lot of people were wondering, are we going to bring back the old one?
I wish.
Are we going to bring back? And they did not. I don't hate it, and I actually really like the shot of Daredevil's helmet falling, and then it turns into the title sequence. That looks cool. And the idea of like it being these statues that are crumbling and breaking down, and then it is born again by the end of the credits. Great idea on its own. I like it. But they also, like, just the music, they kind of do the Daredevil theme in like the back half of the title. This is very nitpicky, but it's just like...
But if you're going to continue on from 3 seasons of a show that we love, and you're going to say, well, yeah, we're going to do that, well, you need to commit and not half commit.
Yeah.
I get the show has the subtitle Born Again, and in the comics that means something, and I get you want to try and stylistically take on something new, but it feels so wish-wash. Like, just commit to something. Like, I wish that they would have just committed to that intro, and although I don't mind this new intro. I think... I have to get past my bias towards that original intro. That is one of the few TV intros I never skipped. I'm like, I love that intro. It's perfect. And I like what the show handles with it, but I feel like they're trying to also commit to something that is from 5-6 years ago, but they're also trying to make it new, so they're trying to do, like, they're dueling fates. They're just trying to struggle here to try and figure out what the fuck they want to do next. And yeah, my thoughts on these first 2 episodes, it's good, but it's slightly botched to me. And the one thing that baffles me the most, well, the 2 things that baffle me the most, you already brought up, is you really want to harken back and live in the universe that we left in, like, the 2018-2019 Daredevil with season 3 ending, and Foggy Nelson, Karen Page, Matt Murdock, this is the world, the Netflix MCU. But we're gonna harken back to that, but we're gonna kill Foggy Nelson right away. I'm like, that feels wasted to me. Give me something new to reconnect me to this character before you kill him. And there's this thing about Matt Murdock's no longer Daredevil. Okay, that's fine. Why isn't he? Oh, he's pursuing his law practice. He's trying to fight for it in the right way. I feel like if you're going to kill off Foggy, you do it at the end of this first 2 episode premiere. You do it at the end of episode 2. You get us reconnected to Foggy Nelson, and you make us reconnected to these characters that we loved in the first 3 seasons, and we're living with Karen Page and Foggy Nelson before fucking Karen Page just gets shipped off to San Francisco because she doesn't want any part of this, or Foggy Nelson's dead in the street because Bullseye shot him. Like, get me reconnected to these characters, act like I haven't seen this show before, because, like, imagine someone who hasn't watched the first 3 seasons of Daredevil coming into Daredevil Born Again, and you're just like, all right, oh, his best friend's dead? Oh, wow, okay. That kind of sucks. I have no idea who the fuck this guy is, though. So you got to treat it like it's a whole new show, whole new season, while still hearkening back. You get in, establish Foggy, establish their dynamic. Like, there's jokes in that scene of them at the bar of, like, uh-oh, Foggy's, like, fucking flirting with this lady up at the... Oh, he's out of his element. Oh, there's all these jokes, and then, oh, he gets shot in the street. That's the extent of Foggy Nelson in this show. And I'm like, really? That's such a disservice to who this character is. Reconnect us to these characters and then kill him off for a dramatic purpose. If Matt Murdock's not Daredevil anymore, and he's just, I'm Matt Murdock, I'm a public defender. Awesome. What's going to get him back into being Daredevil? Foggy Nelson getting shot in the street at the end of episode 2 instead of the first 5 minutes of episode 1 of this season, which sounds really nitpicky because it's literally, we've only had 2 episodes to play with and watch, but it's all about building to something. And then another thing that you highlighted on, Wilson Fisk, almost in passing, I'm going to be mayor of New York. At the very beginning of episode 1, at the very end of episode 1, he's mayor. I'm like, this is something you stretch out to at least the first half of this season. Have that carry through, and then while he's mayor, he brings about the death of Foggy Nelson. Whether he employs Bullseye or someone else, Foggy Nelson dies because Foggy Nelson's defending this guy that potentially killed cops, and the mayor wants to get cops on his side. So he's like, you know what, we need to get Foggy killed. There's so many, I'm not the best writer in the world. I went to film school at St. Thomas in fucking Minneapolis. I'm not the smartest person in terms of film. I'm not the best writer. I don't know things through and through. But to say I could write better than this, it feels like I think high and mighty of myself. I don't. I think I'm a very average Joe. I could write better than this bullshit. And I will say that this is a good start to this season, but I think that they so clearly fucking botched the beginning of this. And that opening action scene feels like they're pandering to the MCU Netflix audience, but they're not doing it so well in this quote-unquote oneer with CGI smoke that disguises shit in weird shots and people taking hits that aren't taking hits. And I do like Bullseye's demise of him just getting shoved off the roof by Matt. I like just the second nature, just like, you know what, you shot my friend Fogg, boom, get off the roof. And he basically face/chest plants onto the fucking pavement, but he's alive? Okay. 4 stories up? Okay, fine. So I get it's a superhero show, which, again, kind of boils down to, why are you getting so mad about a superhero show? Because those first 3 seasons of Daredevil, I'm very nostalgic for. I love that show. I think there are very few negatives within those 3 seasons. I have more negatives in these first 2 episodes of this season than I do in all of those 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's not a superhero show. Those first 3 seasons,
it's a procedural.
I know a lot of people that have watched those seasons, and I'm not really a big comic book superhero fan, but Daredevil's really good. I really like it. So I think that motivation for Matt's character from Foggy's death is a great element, but I don't like how early it comes in the show.
Save that.
Yeah, absolutely save that. Last couple points, just in the second episode that I wanted to highlight, was that action sequence at the end with Daredevil, because that feels more true to what we've seen before, where Matt is not Daredevil anymore. He's just being a lawyer. He doesn't want to use his powers. Mm-hmm. He keeps hearing crimes happen. He can sense them, and he just kind of is fuck,
shutting
and he just
them off,
walks away.
Yeah.
But in the end, where he's trying to protect this witness that is going to help his case, these 2 corrupt cops come in and they're beating him up, and he's like, guys, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And they keep doing it, and he just beats the shit out of them, snaps their arm inward. I'm like, that feels true to what Daredevil is. Also, on the opposite end with Wilson Fisk, once he is mayor, and once I was kind of all right, we're doing that quick, but that's where he's at. There's a great scene of him with the police commissioner in his office, where he's essentially blackmailing him. He has a sandwich he's eating, and he lifts up and shows some pictures that he had somebody take. That's a great Wilson Fisk moment of blackmailing somebody and using his position of power. So I think that they're on the right track of some of these ideas, but they need to hone it in, and I'm just very curious to see where it goes.
I think they've lightly fumbled it. And we might see Karen Page again. Foggy's apparently coming back in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, which would essentially be season 5 of Daredevil. So in whatever capacity that's in. So if we see Karen Page again, I just think they've fumbled the characters we've loved to introduce characters that I don't have much connection to already, like his counterpart at his law firm, or the therapist girlfriend that wrote a book called Live Without Fear. Oh, what's your next going to be about? Or your next book's going to be about? Oh, it's going to be about masks. Oh, okay, so you're dating Daredevil. Cool. That's so efficient and easy and convenient. There's conveniences. There's things that haven't worked for me entirely. I have heard that with kind of the retooling of this show, the rewriting, the reworking, reshooting of a lot of this show, that the beginning part is basically the majority of what carries over between what they originally had planned and what they adopted it into. So I'm hoping that these first 2 episodes, which overall I would say like 7 out of 10 I like, but I have a lot of issues with. I think that this is potentially the low point of the season, and I'm optimistic that it's going to build up to something better. And I love the idea of Mayor Fisk. I just wish that they would have carried that out across many episodes as opposed to like, oh, you want to be mayor? Okay, well, you're mayor. Cool. Within 40 minutes. All right. I hope that they further do justice to what Daredevil and what the legacy of those 3 seasons are on Netflix and what this show can be. I hope Karen Page we see again. I initially, when I heard that there was like him defending in episode 2, him defending White Tiger, I was like, all right, so he's going to defend a superhero that I have no interest in, that feels like almost so forgettable and street level, kind of what they did with a lot of like the She-Hulk, like that frog bitch guy, which I didn't watch She-Hulk, so this is all from what I've heard. This is hearsay. I was like, I don't know if I need more superheroes. I don't need him defending superheroes. But episode 2 I liked a lot more than episode 1. And I liked that when we like snapped into like Matt Murdock, like, no, I'm defending this man against basically all of New York. Because this man is looked at as a cop killer, but he might be in the right. Like, I need you guys on my side. So I'm excited for where this could go. I'm just a little upset with, especially the first episode of this show.
Yeah.
It is rushed.
Just last couple notes on that. You kind of mentioned like once Karen Page moves, he starts a new law firm or he partners with somebody else, and then he has a retired cop kind of helping him with behind the scenes stuff.
Which I like that. It felt kind of like that. Is it Ben Ulrich?
Ben Urich?
Urich. Yeah, Urich. Ulrich.
Yeah, I agree, but I was also like, these 2 characters could have been Foggy and Karen.
100%.
Where it's like, this feels like we could have had this for at least 3 to 4 to 5 episodes, half of a season, of just like, give me a little bit more of these 2 together.
And then kill Foggy.
Yeah. Like, I think that may have been a better move. We'll see where this season goes. I don't know that we'll talk about every episode that comes out here, but we'll absolutely do a season wrap-up whenever that does happen. So, just wanted to mention that. Spoiler warning is off for Daredevil. If you're jumping back in at this exact point, then great job. You picked a great time.
Was that 10 minutes? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
I don't know. Fuck it. We tried our best.
Yeah, we did whatever.
I know you already talked about Succession Season 3. You're working through that. Maybe I'll start on Succession. Maybe I'll start on Severance soon. I don't know.
There's too many shows that I recommend you.
The thing is, streaming has just created just a surplus of just too much shit that is quote unquote, like, it's supposed to be good. So it's like, all right, what do I want to actually watch? But I'm more of a movie guy, so I just obviously like I'm gonna play to that strength. I'm gonna watch a movie instead of a TV show. It's also a story condensed in 2 hours as opposed to 8 hours of 8 episodes. So, but maybe I'm hoping to sit down and watch Severance with my wife, because that is the show that her and I both agreed on. Like, yes, we want to watch this show. All right, can we fucking watch it now? So I'll move into Severance hopefully soon. In terms of new releases coming out this upcoming week, which would be March 14th, a movie that I'm not like terribly excited about. The trailers have been kind of, I don't know, lukewarm for me. I love the cast and in the premise, it seems fun enough, but I haven't been like completely sold on what I think the quality of this film would be. The film is Novacaine, directed by Dan Burke and Robert Olson, directors of Villains and Significant Other. Both films I haven't heard of, and both people I haven't heard of. Starring Jack Quaid, boom, heard of him. Amber Midthunder, boom, heard of her. Hell yeah, I'm sold. Ray Nicholson, oh, he's acting again. That's great, aside from Smile 2. And Jacob Batalon? Is it
Batalon?
Yeah, he's Ned from Spider-Man Homecoming, but I never...
Guy in the chair.
I have no idea how to say his last name, ever. Synopsis: when the girl of his dreams is kidnapped, a man incapable of feeling physical pain turns his rare condition into an unexpected advantage in the fight to rescue her. I've actually heard, as there's been like more press screenings and more stuff released about this film, that it's relatively well received. A lot of people are really liking this movie. Watching in the trailer, I'm like, every trailer I've seen of this movie has been the exact same trailer, and it's not built a lot of like hype for me. I do love Jack Quaid. I love Amber Midthunder, especially after Prey. I'll see almost anything she's in. The trailer has been fine. What I've seen of this has been fine. I like the posters of it. I like Jack Quaid enough. Honestly, if I go to see this movie, which I think I might try and catch this opening weekend sometime if I'm able to. I'm going up to Duluth this upcoming weekend, so I'm going to be kind of up there with friends and just hanging out and going to breweries and drinking coffee and eating good food and having a good time in my favorite town in Minnesota. But I don't know if I'm going to catch Novacaine, but it's like, if I needed to step away, if they want to go to the Flame and I want to go to see Novacaine, I can go see Novacaine. Like, it's something to go watch. I'm sure I'll catch it eventually. I'm not like the most excited about it.
This one feels like a movie that I would walk out of and be like, yeah, that was fun. Good action movie. Yeah, Jack Wade's fun. So I may see that this week. I don't know. Another option this week is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. You know who this stars. Daffy Duck, Porky Pig. Come on now. Let's go.
I didn't see the cast list. I didn't see that you just put the characters.
Let's go. Yeah.
The Invader.
Dude, Porky and Daffy defending Earth against an alien invasion. Let's go. That's tight. Looney Tunes, they're still around. It's crazy how long that they've been around, and we'll see if this, kind of sees success as an animated movie. Sometimes, like, these kids' movies, they'll do really well. I'm not going to see this in theaters, but you know what? I hope it's good.
I might see this in theaters.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
I'm actually kind of stoked about this.
You know what? Space Jam rocks. I love that movie and watched the cartoons so much growing up.
You know in kindergarten how they have like morning class and afternoon class in terms of kindergarten?
Yeah.
What did you have? Were you afternoon or were you morning?
I think I had afternoon, so I watched like morning cartoons.
Okay, so I was morning, and I would catch the tail end of morning cartoons because I'd get home and I'd watch Baby Looney Tunes for fucking hours on
Hell
end.
yeah.
Baby Looney Tunes is my shit. Well, was my shit. I'm a 24-year-old man. I don't know if it still is. But I didn't know this movie was coming out, and then I saw a trailer randomly for it, and I was like, is this like a weird Coke ad that they're trying to put at the front of the movies again? Like, what's going on? No, it's a legitimate movie. Just randomly about the Looney Tunes? Alright, I'll go fucking see it. I love the Looney Tunes. I love Baby Looney Tunes especially, but yeah, them popping up in Space Jam, hell yeah. So, I'm excited to see anything with this stupid fucking duck and Porky Pig and them fucking off and fighting against space invaders. Hell yeah. What's not to love? I'm sure it's gonna make like no money, but I can't wait to go see it. Almost more so than Novacaine.
Yeah.
Aside from those two fucking bangers, we have a new horror film coming out, or at least it's marketed as a horror film. I have no idea, based on the trailer, how to feel about this movie.
It's A24 horror.
It's A24 horror, so it's like, you're going to feel weird. It might scare you in like half a scene, and then it's going to make you laugh a little bit. But Opus, directed by Mark Anthony Green, starring Io Edeberry?
Debris, yeah.
I've never pronounced that right either. John Malkovich and Juliette Lewis. Synopsis: an iconic pop star returns after decades missing. This movie looks interesting. For it to be labeled as a horror film, I remember when they started releasing their posters, and I was like, it's saying it's a horror movie. This isn't, like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be scary. It feels like culty. It feels very much like Drink the Gatorade, Jim Jones. Like, we're going to get fucked up. Like, weird shit's going to happen. I've heard middling to honestly like poor reviews for this movie, which sucks because I love Io Edeberry, little Looney Tunes speak there, and I love John Malkovich, so anything he's gonna pop up in. But Corey, do you have any anticipation for Opus? I don't. For me, it's not gonna be an opening week.
Yeah, same here. I love Io Edeberry, so she's amazing in The Bear. So I'm always down to see her in anything. Another option we got this week, very heavy release week. We got Black Bag. If you loved Presents and you loved David Koepp writing a movie with Steven Soderbergh directing it, hey, you know what? A couple months later, you got another one. Black Bag coming out.
Spy thriller.
Yeah, that's essentially it. Spy thriller. Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett are playing a married couple, and you know what? The shenanigans of a spy marriage ensue. I see the trailer for this, and it looks like a fun enough action movie. I don't know that I'll see it this weekend, but if I hear good things, I may check this one out.
Yeah, I already have my early access screening ticket for Black Bag. I'm actually randomly really excited for this film. I am a big fan of Steven Soderbergh. I didn't love Presents. I think David Koepp is capable of writing really great films. I don't think Presents was one of them. I love Michael Fassbender. Cate Blanchett is very hit or miss for me. sometimes I'm like, yeah, you're a great actress. Sometimes I'm like, you're in Tar, and I just think you're being pretentious. This does feel like a more grounded Mr. and Mrs. Smith of like married agents going after each other. I don't know what kind of wrenches they're going to throw into this almost formulaic appearing story, so I'm excited to see what happens. The aesthetics of it, the trailer of it works for me. I love the cast. I love Michael Fassbender, honestly. So anything he's in, especially directed by Steven Soderbergh, I'm very eager to go see. So I will be seeing that this upcoming Wednesday, and I can't wait to sit down in a theater with maybe 2 other people and watch this fucking movie. Aside from the big theatrical releases, maybe the highest budgeted movie of the week coming out is The Electric State, coming out on Netflix, weirdly enough, directed by the Russo brothers, who haven't made a good film aside from the MCU connections. Film stars Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown, who I don't like, Woody Harrelson, and Ke Quan. Woo! Woo! I've heard nothing but dog shit about this. An orphan teenager traverses the American West with a sweet but mysterious robot and eccentric drifter in search of her younger brother. Cool. I've heard nothing but bad things. Going into it being a Russo brothers directorial effort, not connected to the MCU, I feel like they've only fumbled the bag on that front. We have Cherry, where you can just see Tom Holland get a colonoscopy. That's fun. Did they do 20? Is it 21 Bridges? What was the one with Chadwick Boseman?
They produced that one. Okay. They did The Gray Man.
They did
also
Gray
on Netflix.
Man.
Which,
Also fantastic.
Whatever.
Yeah, everyone loves Gray Man.
I noticed you're
best.
leaving out You, Me, and Dupree.
Forgot about that.
Pre-MCU.
Pre-MCU, pre-Community, actually.
Yeah, very early one.
So Owen Wilson and Matt Dillon? All right.
They've popped off a few, like I said, Cherry the Gray Man, and then they're like, you know what, maybe we need to come back to the MCU and do some Avengers movies. Do
you have any anticipation? Are you gonna watch this on Netflix? Are you excited?
No, not right away, at least. Like, if it's a night where I'm like, I don't have anything to watch, and I'm like, you know what, it's the Russo brothers, maybe I'll watch it. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just not that excited for this one.
Yeah, me neither. So let's fucking move off of it quickly. In terms of physical media, what we purchased lately after the Oscars, and actually during the Oscars, leading up to the Oscars, I've been like, fuck, I need to own a lot of movies that I don't own. So I went out and bought the 4K Blu-ray copy of Moonlight, which was a Best Picture winner. A movie that I know Corey loves. He likes it actually more than La La Land. He doesn't say that widely. He only says it to me in private. He's staring at me. No, but it won Best Picture the year that La La Land won Best Picture for maybe 15 seconds. But I'm excited to rewatch this movie. I've only ever seen it actually the one time in theaters with my mom when she turned to me and she was like, I don't think I like this. And I'm like, all right, well, I do. So it's a very well shot film. I'm excited to sit down and rewatch it, especially after how many years have passed since it winning Best Picture, to see kind of how I feel about it. After being on my David Cronenberg kick that I've been on with Scanners and Naked Lunch, I decided to pick up The Dead Zone, so I ordered that 4K Blu-ray, and that should be actually arriving today. So I'm excited to eventually visit that movie. I've never seen The Dead Zone, which is starring Christopher Walken, and it's a story based on a Stephen King story, so I'm excited to sit down and watch that. I also purchased one of my favorite movies of the past couple of years, which was American Fiction. I got a Blu-ray copy of that. What a phenomenal, funny, and awesome movie American Fiction is. It's a movie I've really loved and really been wanting to rewatch lately. Sterling K. Brown in that movie is phenomenal. I will eat your fucking sweater vest is such a great line. So yeah, I added that to my collection. I also purchased The Pianist on Blu-ray with Adrian Brody winning The Brutalist Best Actor in a leading role for The Brutalist. I was like, you know what, let's go back. I've never seen The Pianist. Corey, you talked about it either last week or the week prior.
Oh, lots of burps that I have.
I'm drinking sparkling water in between the beer, which is not helping. But you like The Pianist. You expressed how hard it was to watch, which I've known that, which is why I've sat out watching it up until this point. But you know what? I think it's a good time. It's ripe for me to sit down and watch The Pianist. So I purchased that, the film directed by Roman Polanski, and also gave Adrian Brody his first Best Leading Actor Oscar. And then I also, another purchase, I think it was Sunday, midday, we were drunk and watching the Oscars. Going off of my ballot, going off of the way the night was going, I was like, Honora's probably going to win this Best Picture, isn't it? So I ordered the Criterion collection of that. It won't come to me until April 29th, but I'm excited to get that movie, to rewatch that movie. Hopefully, like it more than I originally did. I think in my review I gave it a B. I think if you asked me today where I would rank it, I'd give it like a B to B+. I'm excited to see if that movie grows on me or if the things that bother me about that film further bother me. My wife hasn't seen it, so I'm excited to sit down and watch it with her, but I picked up the Criterion of Honora. Corey.
Yeah, I don't have any comments on Honora. You guys have heard them all.
Heard all of them.
I won't scream anymore. But yeah, American Fiction. What a great movie. We saw that at
so underrated.
We saw that at Alamo Draft House.
That was the only time I've ever been to an Alamo Draft House.
Same here. We need to go back sometime. I don't know what movie we should go back to see, but we definitely need to
It's a long
make
fucking
a point.
drive, yeah.
Yeah. So great theater though, and it was fun seeing that movie there. This week is one of the quieter release weeks. We've got just a couple 4Ks coming out. We got Thief coming out on 4K Criterion, which is a movie that you bought me within the last couple of years, and I watched and I absolutely loved. It's such a great movie.
My favorite Michael Mann film and my favorite James Caan film.
Yep, 100%. And then Daylight on 4K, which is a Sylvester Stallone movie. I actually don't know that much about it, but
I was going to ask, is that the Sylvester Stallone one? Yeah, I don't fucking know anything
that's
about
it.
that movie.
Yeah, this is one of the off weeks for releases, so
It's weird that they've followed that so like strictly.
I don't like it.
We'll have one big week and then nothing.
Yeah, not a fan of that. Movie news for the week. We don't really have too many big things. It wasn't super heavy hitting, but there was a new trailer for the Thunderbolts. We've had a lot of trailers for this movie, but all the marketing has been pretty good for it. And we got a A24 style trailer for it. Pretty quick, just like minute trailer, but it has stuff like from the cinematographer of The Green Knight and from the production designer of Hereditary, stuff like that. Just giving a little bit more of the flavor of the movie. I dig it. I like it. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
looks fun.
I'm super excited. I think Thunderbolts, as someone who actually really likes Captain America: Brave New World more so than others, and I will admit the movie has a lot of faults, but I'm willing to look past most of them. I'm so fucking stoked for Thunderbolts. And to see how that fits into where the MCU is building, because we've heard a lot of speculation about like Doomsday and Secret Wars and what's to come with those movies, and it's like, all right, well, if those movies aren't that far away, how are we getting there with like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four first steps coming out? If you asked me going into 2025, which I think we might have talked about, Thunderbolts in terms of like the MCU releases, I'm so interested in. I like the idea of almost like a Suicide Squad-esque relationship between this team within the MCU of just Red Guardian, Yelena, and fucking Ghost and Taskmaster, which I think most of these characters probably won't live through the entire film. I'm excited to see more of Johnny Walker, played by Russell. I almost said Rebel Wilson, so I'm happy.
It should be Rebel Wilson.
By Rebel Wilson. By Russell.
You gotta get there.
No.
Get there. Come on now.
One of my favorite actors.
Yeah, you got it.
Why tease me? Just help me. Kurt Williams? No. What's his name?
Kurt Williams.
No, it's not.
Who's Kurt Williams?
I don't know. Kurt Russell. Wilson. What's his Wyatt Russell. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wilson Russell. Wyatt Russell. His name's Wyatt Russell. His name's Wyatt Russell. Holy fuck, dude. Oh my god. We need to end this episode now. Oh my god. I'm excited to see John Walker as played by Wyatt Russell.
Played by Kurt Williams.
Played by Kurt Williams. Played by Hank Williams. Fuck, dude. I can't wait to see more of the Thunderbolts. I'm going to move off this topic because I clearly can't talk about it. But a new thing that's kind of been rumored is Christopher Nolan being in Amazon's kind of line of fire top choice to direct the new James Bond film, which is something that has always been kind of speculated about, of like Chris Nolan taking on the James Bond franchise. He takes a lot of inspiration from especially early Bond films, the George Lazenby one, which I'm already blanking on.
On Her Majesty's Secret
Thank
Service.
you. Dude, I can't speak too much longer, so we need to wrap this shit
crazy.
up. I know Edward Berger's also in that conversation, which I think he would make a phenomenal Bond film. Nolan, I feel like it's just never gonna happen. It feels too perfect. I feel like we kind of got like Tenet and Inception. I think we've seen what Nolan would do with a Bond film. Are there any directors aside from Nolan, aside from Edward Berger, that you would really like to see do a Bond film?
Yeah, just on the point of Nolan, quick. Like I feel like I've heard him say he's done his franchise stuff with Batman. He's like, I'm done with that. Like I did that. I was happy with it. I'd love to see Danny Boyle do a Bond movie. That'd be great.
That's my pick too. Because he was rumored to do No Time to Die. He was attached to No Time to Die for a decent amount of time before it went over to Fukunaga.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. So we'll see. Well, he may be Amazon's top choice, but is Amazon his top choice? That's really the question. He can do whatever he wants. So we'll see. But last little bit of news that everybody is just clamoring for, which I didn't even know about until you mentioned it. A Monopoly movie's happening. So you guys excited about that?
I think it's coming from the same production company for Barbie, from Margot Robbie's production studio.
We've got John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein reportedly writing it. So they've done some fun stuff. They directed Game Night. They directed Dungeons and Dragons, which was very surprisingly fun.
Both of those movies are way better than they have any right to be.
And they were writers on the Horrible Bosses movies, which I love. And then Spider-Man: Homecoming as well, which that movie's great.
And Vacation.
Yeah, well, not the original.
No, the better one.
Yeah, with Ed Helms. A better one is
Christina Applegate. Yeah.
She's in there. Yeah, that is. It's definitely a movie. That's for sure. It is a movie.
It exists.
100%.
It was released.
It came out.
People saw
absolutely. It. I don't know what this movie's gonna be about. So you know what? This is just. It has some writers. Here we go.
Do you think that's gonna be within the world of Monopoly? What the fuck is this?
Are we just gonna move around a board?
Yeah, we're just gonna
go to jail. Straight to jail.
Or is it just the monocle guy? I don't know what his name is.
Mr. Monopoly.
Is that his name?
I think so. It's like Uncle Moneybags bitch.
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
I think Uncle Moneybags bitch.
Yep.
But I think actually legitimately Uncle Moneybags is some Unc Moneybags.
You know what? It could be fun. I don't want to discount it right now, but a little update as far as that goes.
I'm done with the board games being.
Yeah, we had Battleship.
Yeah. Oh God, did we have Battleship? Seeing that movie in the theaters in 2012 with fucking Rihanna, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, Liam Neeson's in a movie with Rihanna. Fucking clock it. That's awesome. Anyways, I'm gonna go throw up. Thank you for sitting and having some liquor drinks with us for our whatever episode of Slate Night. I think we're gonna stop doing that. Keeping count as I fucking make that decision out loud while we're recording this episode. But thanks for sitting with us. I'm going to drink more sparkling water. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. More in-depth movie reviews are somewhere to be found. Whether they're from us or not, fucking find them, I guess.
What?
I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. In the world of film, this is the one part I'll keep. In the world of film, it's not just about what's on screen, but it's also about who's sitting next to you in the theater. Ain't that fucking sweet? Corey, your line. Say your line.
Corey, from Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.
Woo!